Hello and welcome. It is Nomadic Shaman here. Thank you so much for visiting my page. Today's video is going to be gang stalking. I want to focus on the business and practicality behind gang stalking. Now, I don't know if anybody else is with me when I say I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. I was only privy to what I was being affected by. Okay, and even in doing my research, there's not a lot of information as far as how expansive this business really is, meaning how high it goes up. Okay, and how wide it is, truly how expansive it is. So I will say what initially sparked my interest. I was having a conversation with my guides. Some people see me talking to myself. Sometimes I'm thinking out loud. Most of the time, I'm speaking to dead people. Okay? But anyhow, jokes aside, I was having a conversation with my spiritual team, and I was just like, what in the hell is taking so long? What in the hell is taking so long to corral these individuals for the FBI, CIA, DEA, DOG, I don't know who, for the law enforcement? What is taking them so long to corral? I mean, I'm not in law enforcement, and I can get names, I can get numbers, ages, first names, last names, numbers, location, you know what I'm saying? I can get that information. So I'm like, what the hell is taking them so long? And my guides was telling me it's not about you. Meaning this is much bigger than you. And that law enforcement and all the alphabet letter, agencies isn't just focused on you and what's happening to you. They're looking at the top of the top of the top of the top, meaning the people who, like the investors, the people of power and influence, the international power and world's leaders, as well as, government ties. They're looking at those folks because those are the folks who are interested and push it by investing their money into it, right? And so they're looking at the top, tippity top, so that they can dismantle and crush all of this down. And so with that information, I was just like, oh, okay. So it brought like a better understanding of why it was taking so long, why divine timing was taking so long. It just brought a much clearer perspective on everything at large, And so I wanted to share that with you for those who may be in the dark about the business and practicality of gang stalking, y'all. So I'm going to try my best to narrow this down with an example. So imagine, as I said before, you have this world power, international power with government affiliations who has like big money, like billionaire money, like investor status type of money. Okay, who may have programming, may have initiatives that they're wanting to carry out. One example that comes to mind would be Elon Musk. So think of somebody similar like Elon Musk that holds or harnesses that level of power, okay, that level of influence, and that's connected with access, resources, technology, manpower, right, and funding. And then they have this particular program that they're wanting to carry out, initiative that they're wanting to carry out, but they don't want to focus their time and energy because they have a lot of other things that they may be juggling at the time. But they have somebody in mind who has specialized skills or has like a specialized business for this very thing, or can at least put them in the right direction, right? And it could be word of mouth that this person tends to be very, very successful within his relationships and networking and manpower and technology and funding. Like this particular person knows how to get the job done. And if he doesn't know how to get the job done, he knows who to go to get the job done, as it relates to all the little variables with their programming and initiative. Now, let's call this person John. John with the specialized skills, okay? Business. Now, John's goals is, I love X-Men, by the way. John's goal or business is all centered around finding the mutants. Anybody who's familiar with X-Men, let's find the mutants. So what that boils down to, John is very knowledgeable in occultic knowledge and practices. He understands that energy is currency. Okay. And so if he is looking for the most sustaining energy, healing energy, abundant energy, he is looking at divine ones, divine beings, divine ones. He is looking at the golden child. He is looking at chosen ones. Okay. He's looking for a power source of energy. So his business is seeking that out and identifying that, okay? Once he seeks the people out and he has this client that he wants to make happy, he has many clients who he wants to make happy, but his job is to identify the energy source by way of the golden child, by way of the chosen ones, divine ones, and divine beings, okay? Now, what he does is he has a lot of, let's say, family ties, different families, almost like the mob, head of the family, head of family A, head of family B, head of family C. And every single one of them is known for doing certain things really, really well. So depending on the client, he's trying to figure out which one should he partner with in order to appease or make this particular client very happy for their programming or their initiatives. Now, if he wants to be fair, he may put the job up on the board and all the families get an opportunity to see it, and they have to bid if there's interest in it. Okay. So then what happens is he gets a budget from the investor. He takes his off the top. And then the rest of the money is going to whichever family wins the bid, aka wins the contract. Now, let's say once the head of the family wins the contract, now they have to get to work. They already have access to their connections. They have access to funding because they just got paid, right? They also have access to resources, access to money. And what else? I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything else. As well as contacts, right? Now, the family, the head of the family, they manage, we'll say, the top shelf white collar crimes, okay, as it relates to accounts that are above a certain dollar amount. So they are the ones that are responsible for setting up these accounts for these gang stalking campaigns of chosen ones, divine ones, golden childs, okay? Anyone with a huge, big light source of energy, okay? So this is what the head of the family focuses on. And then they outsource to their field manager everything and anyone that's out in the field. So what that would look like would be the people who use energy weapons against you, the people that are hired to live in your apartment and make all this type of noise. This is also where, let's see, psychic readers. So they'll hire the psychic readers, they'll hire practitioners, they'll hire root workers, they'll hire, anyone and everything, like, I'm saying as far as like on the field, right? And so the field manager oversees that and also keeps a closer eye on the target or targets, because there's like usually many at once, but keeps a close eye of the target, has an idea of what's going well, what's not going well, and where they would have to flip, change, or reverse it. Now, if I didn't say this earlier, let's say John, he already has a folder of all of the chosen ones, of their weaknesses, of their strengths, both on a spiritual aspect, on a physical aspect, and what it is that they are to gain as far as like living out their greatest potential. What are their spiritual abilities? What are their physical abilities and capabilities? And what are their destinies to look like? Okay, so John has that information, then passes it down to the head of family so that they can do or work in however manner that they need to in order to be able to get the job done. Look at this, get the job done. In order to get the job done. Now, the head of the family, they get contracts. Anybody who's an entrepreneur knows that sometimes you have slower periods and then others. So you always want to do things or take on clients or contracts that will sustain you, over the slow seasons, in which the family, what they do is some of the ways to bring the money in would be through life insurance policy scamming, what else? As well as black web or dark web sales and insurance scams, also taking advantage of research grants, government grants, PP loans, fraud, business loans, fraud, inheritances, as well as rings. You guys know where I'm going with that. And trafficking. You guys know where I'm going with that. And the one thing two things really. Two things. The first one would be this. They also say, hey, if we want to expand our network, okay, we can expand our network with working with different covens, different cults, even gangs, even if you need like a street dude or a hood dude to handle a particular job because they have a particular skill set. If, working with either the Freemasons or the Eastern Stars. Am I saying that the Freemasons and Eastern Stars are a bad group per se? No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is people who have ill intentions purposely seek out groups such as this to gain the benefits of protection so that when they do some bullshit, it can be erased or discarded away as if it's never happened. And then you have the witches, not all witches, but you have the spiritualists, the root workers, the spiritualists, the witches, the warlocks who work on things spiritually to discard things and make them go away. So you couple the practicality with the spirituality, and then just like, boo, not boo, but it's just like vamoose, it's gone, okay? It's gone. So you have people working on like both, the different sides, practicality on the physical and then spirituality to be able to enhance, manifest certain things and then completely eradicate certain things, okay? Now, the one interesting thing, before I wrap up on this video, the one interesting thing, my guys have brought my attention to this video where it was a woman that was talking about teaching people to set up businesses and how you can gain certain benefits that would be tax benefits that would be available to one who is taking advantage of a nonprofit organization or setting up their business like a church. Why? Is because it's kind of common knowledge that though in those instances, one, you don't get as audited as much, but the IRS pretty much stays out of the business of those because it's set up like a church, because it has to do with it being like a religious institution. I don't know too much more about it than that, but what I do know is there's a lot of people who take advantage of the IRS not being all up in their business, and they know that by setting their business up like a church. It has added tax benefits, and it keeps the IRS out of your hair unless there's like a huge red flag or many huge red flags, okay? So, and the one other last thing I will say is, from the top to the bottom, what do you see? What's the common thread? It's Rico. That's the word of the day, y'all. Rico from the bottom up, Rico from the top up. RICO, Rico. So anyways, I want to share that knowledge with you all. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to comment, like, share, and follow. And until the next one, I'm out.